Welcome to another draw process. I'm Ike. I'm going to draw a comic book page and process about my development as a comic book artist, my experience, the techniques I use, my mindset. It's page 52 of First Sun and Sword today, my self-published comic. Let's go.
And jumping into the thumbnails. My first idea is, and I don't do it that often, very, short, long panels, just a series of wide panels. And I was thinking, okay, we can jump back and forth from sword to King Croc, back to sword. This sort of seeing where they're at, how they're feeling, this setup before they face off again. I'm not just worried about how to draw people in these poses, but I'm looking at how it visually lays out. There's a reason Sword's towards the left of his panel, but King Croc is towards the right on his. And then the sword, it's held at a very particular angle. That was all trying to find what looks good from panel to panel. I'm going with a different idea now. We have Sword on the left, King Croc on the right. Now, if you remember from the story last week, we've shown where Sword and King Croc are located. We don't have to show it again. The audience knows where they are and that they're fighting and they're about to fight. But this page is a piece of art in itself. It's a paragraph in itself. I wanted to start it off with some clarity and some setup. So it's not absolutely necessary for the reader to understand, but it is part of the storytelling. What is the story here? So now what I'm breaking out is maybe a series of 4 vertical panels side by side. Croc coughs. Croc turns back to Sword. He growls. Sword has his sword in front of him, and then he puts it up behind his back, preparing to slice. I'm not happy with it because visually it doesn't flow very well. There's not a lot of variation in the size of the figures, like King Croc in panel 1 and 2 are almost the same. So I'm playing with these ideas. This is all exploration at this point. For some reason, my allergies are just now hitting me, and I don't even have enough time to do this whole recording before I'm going to have to pause it and pick it up maybe tomorrow. But I'm going to fumble my way through making some points that I want to make. I didn't prepare this, but I want to talk to you if you are a comic creator, if you're someone who wants to communicate and tell story through sequential storytelling. And that's been on my mind lately, to want to speak to you in words of encouragement. There's times when I really want to encourage people. And then the feeling passes, and then it's time to record the video, and I'm not in the mood. The thoughts aren't on my mind, and that's where I'm at now. But I know that this keeps coming back to me, so I want to go there with you today. If you've listened to this, you know that I tend to speak very introspectively, and I try to be real cautious and not egotistical with my opinions. And I think it's a breath of fresh air for some people. I'm glad I can communicate that way. But it's harder to communicate that way. It would be easier to just speak very affirmatively, like strictly, concretely. And I'm giving you this warning because I know that what I am going to say is not totally accurate, because I'm going to have to do it the easy way and just go with more concrete statements. I'm really just expressing some encouragement and perspective and my values. And I know that these are not ultimate truths. So it may not apply to you. But if it resonates with you, it could uplift you. It could be helpful to hear. And if not, don't worry about it. Yeah, but I'll put my stake in the ground in a sense that being a sequential storyteller, which sequential meaning, that it's in sequence, visual storyteller, you're telling a story through images sequentially. It is perhaps more like being a written word author than being a filmmaker. Even the visuals are representative. So when an author is reading, when you're reading a book, written word, the words are symbols that represent, and you're building the picture in your mind. And the sense of time and space and focus, it is given to you through clarity of communication and style. And the author's helping you construct that. Pace and timing. That for some authors, one sentence could be an hour of time, and it could take up half a page. There's not a clear rule on that. It's self-referential to a degree. You'll get a feel for the style of the way that author's communicating, and it will you'll hitch a ride. You'll catch on to what's presented, and it may not be in a style that you're used to. So how does the author know that they're doing meaningful work or good work? I think they're going to try to get clear, more clear. Whatever they're trying to say, they're saying it clearly. They can use style into things, but it's not about style. It's about clarity of communication, of nuances. It's not just clarity and simplicity, but whatever you want to bring attention to, whatever the nuances are that you want to bring to life, you're going to be able to execute that in a way that does not confuse the reader. And they're on a journey with you. They pick up that book, they know, they get the feeling, oh, this person they're a person. They're really a person saying something. They're taking me somewhere. I'm going to go with them. You want that benefit of the doubt too. If they start to find a moment confusing, maybe they assume it's their fault, and they will give you the time to get back on track and not just write you off and put the book down. So this is my opinion, right? This author is no different. It's very similar, no different than the comic artist, the comic storyteller. The author they're going for clarity and authenticity in what they're saying. They are trying to grow their vocabulary, grow their ability to communicate in more nuanced and interesting ways, so that they can go there authentically, like that it's genuine and not a mimicry or something. I think it's the same with the comic artist. We can't decide what style our art is going to be. We can't decide those things. We have to go for clarity, capturing the nuance, the message, whatever that is. And like I said, it's the drawings are representational, right? Even the best art, I believe, is, no matter how good of an illustrator you are. When the idea is that when people look at that art, they don't see the art. Like, they're not just seeing like your drawings as the thing in itself. There's the person. They're standing, in that battlefield or whatever, and that's the thing. What I'm being shown, the drawing, that's the person, and they're there, like it was captured on camera. That's not the goal. That's not good storytelling. It's that the drawing itself is representational. I get the feeling there is a person there. It's like when you watch a cartoon and you pick up on the emotions being communicated out of a stupid animal, anthropomorphized character. And you are moved with emotion when in something that's clearly representational. That's the thing. That's the way to tell stories well. And I think even good filmmakers do this, that they're not just showing you the actor, the character, and that's the point. No, these characters, they're symbols. The framing of those shots and the what's shown to you and what's not shown is symbolic to communicate a story. So, and there's the finished pencils. So, sorry, this is a tangent, but the pencils I accidentally did at 10 times speed. Normally I do it at 2 to 5 times. So we got through the pencils very quickly. That was an accident on mine, the setting on my camera. So I decided this time to slow down the inks. And so now I moved the camera and positioned it close and at an angle where you can see the marks I'm making on the paper. So this video should, not show you as much of the pencil process as well, but this should give you a really good look at the inking process. So that was me trying to make up for the failure on the pencils video. So the drawings are symbolic. If I have a character and like Sword, he has this beard. It's this shape that means beard. It communicates something about the character. But if there was a comment in the next story about how he's got gray hairs in his beard, I could show a drawing of his beard, solid black, maybe like one line of a squiggle on it, a black squiggle. And someone could be commenting about the white in his beard. Maybe he's stroking it with his hand. I wouldn't have to show the white hairs for the reader to feel like they're seeing it, right? So it isn't just that the reader is trying to see the movie play out between panels. They're also seeing into the drawings things that aren't there. And that's where good storytelling happens. They're going to see things that you didn't draw. And if you want to be an excellent, an author, they're writing symbolically. They're writing with clarity, authenticity, and symbolically. And the artist should be doing the same to really master the craft, to really master communication. So this journey, you can't exactly control what you're going to look like, what your art's going to look like. You have to go for clarity. You have to go for authenticity. For those artists, and that's who I'm really speaking to here, there's things you know how to draw well, like a hand. That can be challenging, but like faces, hands, bodies, these are things we draw all the time. Like other things like cars and bicycles, they can be challenging for a lot of us because we don't do it very often. But when you are drawing a human form doing something, you might get the feeling in your body of those motions. You might get some kind of wired connection with your brain and your hand, and you just know, like something's coming to life on the paper. Children know this. They draw a smiley face and they feel the smile. They draw the sun and shiny rays, and maybe they're coloring it with crayons, color it yellow. They feel yellow. They feel sun. And they're portraying it. They're conveying it through symbol. And then we become adults and we start to take ourselves really seriously. And we think that I have to draw the sun. It's really, not the sun, obviously, but I have to draw things and they have to really look like the thing. Like I'm trying to capture it, control it, bend it to my will, like prove my ability. It's like ego, right? And we forget to be like the child and just draw the thing as you feel it, authentically. It's hard for us to do, but it's also the easiest thing in the world if you get your ego out of the way. You just start drawing, and you draw every day if you can. And when you draw the sun, you feel the sun. When I draw like King Croc, a gator shapes, I feel this is the goal. I don't always live up to it. I'm feeling the gator shapes. I can almost feel like I'm becoming that. I'm giving birth to this thing, right? And I'm connected to it. That is good storytelling. If you get where you can do that, then at least you're being authentic. Now, there's a place to learn skills. There's a place to train and obviously improve. An author should have a dictionary. We should too. The other day, this week, I spent, I think it was this week, maybe it was last week, I spent over an hour just drawing guns. I have this encyclopedia of small arms, and I'm just going through gun after gun, drawing the different pieces and shapes of guns and how they're assembled in different ways for each gun throughout history. Like drawing the sun and feeling the sun, I'm trying to develop a vocabulary where when I'm drawing a gun, I feel the gun. I'm bringing it to life. I have knowledge about it. I have an opinion about it, a perspective to share. It's not just pulling up a gun picture and copying it onto the paper. We all fall short of the ideal. But there is a path, my opinion, there is a path that leads to this perfecting yourself in the right way, like this wholeness, this completeness, this development, and getting your ego out of the way. There's this path available to us, and it is not the easy one. It's not the easy road, but it's available. And I encourage everyone to take that path, take that harder path. It is worth it. It takes a while to get there. I find myself, I've developed a lot in the last year. I don't know if you can see it, but I see it in my sketchbooks, and I even see it in the pages of this comic. I'm 1 year in on this comic from the first pages, and I see the development in that from the first pages to now. And I'm on my 8th year, I think. I think it's 8 years of making comics. And I'm still having these breakthroughs. And I'm still seeing development. But yeah, I feel good about the path I'm on, and I have to commit and stick to it. Yeah. And now, kind of moving on to another point here, but now I am, there's no going back now. First, I thought I wanted to embrace being a comic book artist, that I would commit myself to this and pursue it. But now I'm a slave to it. Like now I am, my calling is also my trap or my limitation, right? And so now, I owe everything to it, but it owns me too, And so, yeah, I chose it, and now it has me. It chose me. I'm stuck with it now. So I embrace it, and I want to share it with everyone. Share with you my experience, my thoughts, how I'm developing in this, what I have to contribute to the conversation, and not just the verbal conversation, but even the art itself, what I have to contribute to the further development of this medium, of what's possible that hasn't been done yet. And there's a humility there. I just do what I can. It's not great. It's not perfect. I just do what I can. I hope I always keep that, because I have that confidence now that you give me 10 more years and I'm going to be very good at this. I think I'm already okay, but I believe that I have the potential to be great, or in the sense of being a very unique voice that communicates with mastery, with authority. But I think a lot of people have that ability. They just can't control how it's going to look. Like, you just have to give in. So back to encouraging you. So there, it's possible, right? I don't know what is in you. I'm blessed with certain gifts, and burdened by certain gifts. And so, and there's people that are more talented than me in many ways. But like, I could see how someone might doubt if they have anything to say or contribute, even if they wanted to, even if you loved this. And for those people, even them, I want to encourage you too, that the most interesting things said could be said by an outsider. The most interesting addition to comics could be someone that would have serious doubts about their ability to do it, but somehow they committed and they did it. And for years and years, perhaps, because that's how I see things. You know, for myself, even is a many-year process to get there. But you know, you could choose something else. Yeah, if you're not sure this is for you, it could be a hobby. It could be for fun. It could you don't have to do it. But if you have to do it, if you don't really have a choice, then I want to encourage that person that it is possible, and it's more possible than it ever was. That's an unpopular opinion. I mean, we have AI art, we have like so much that's already been said and done, and like traditional art kind of being replaced and so on. The comic book market not looking good. Everything's starting to have a certain style and expectation, and like kind of this zombie market, like all these reasons that people point to say comics are dying or there's nothing else to be said or done. Yeah, don't listen to those people. You're going to like poison yourself with a negativity. The people that accomplish things they're not going to let that stop them, right? But those are also the people who fail, who take risks, and have to embrace the consequences. So you can't control that. You can't, be sure that you're the one that'll be successful, that everything will work out for. But you can participate as a creator, and not take it too seriously, not burden yourself too much with what the outcome will be. Again, the most haughty humility possible here. So encouragement. There you have it. That's what I can muster today, and we'll leave it at that. And that's where I had to pause my recording, and now it's the next day for me recording here. But I got to a good stopping point on that topic. I listened to it through again this morning as I was getting ready to record, and yeah, that's a funny way of encouraging people, but it's what I intended, and I think it's the kind of encouragement that I wanted to give. It's not the prettiest picture, but it is a hopeful picture of what can be possible and worth doing here. So I'm sure I'm going to come back to this topic again in the future. I have a lot more to say on it. I had given a talk once at a convention, and I had 2 pages of notes on further points that were similar to these. I didn't look at those today or yesterday for this recording, but I know there's other things that I could say and will say someday. And I'm wrapping up the page here. I didn't speed up much on this brushing with the ink brush, so you can see that better too. I'm mostly filling in the coloring sheet, filling in the spots with black that I've predetermined with my inks, which were based on my pencil scribbles that I found where I want to put those shadows, those blocks of negative space. But I'm also kind of going slowly, and I take my time, and I look for where I might want to add a little more. But I can always add a little more black. It's not as consistent as tracing, following my micron ink pen lines. But if I need to have a line that has no micron, that's just the brush, I can do that and get away with it. It's not so noticeable. So, and sometimes I'll even double back with the micron around the new shape I've added. So I'm trying to pay attention as I do this, and look at the drawing as it's coming along, and seeing if I've made the right choices and if I can change it or adjust it at all. Sometimes with whiteout if that's what's necessary. Yeah, I wonder what else to say today. I really got it out of my system yesterday. Maybe more about this clarity. I don't want to rehash things I already said, but there is a way to execute a drawing where it is more of an icon. It is more symbolic. It is more strong in its composition, but almost like archetypal in its look. So you can have like a highly, like my composition for this page. This could have been executed. The finishing touches could have been in any drawing style, any inking style. But the way that I composed the position of things and the shapes is solid. That's a strong composition. The rest is just a dressing on it. The whatever style, that you apply on top of that. And for me, the most important thing is that basic shape, the basic communication of it, and not the style. And that's partly how I developed my style. My style is me trying to leave it unfinished, like get down to just the symbolic and not worry about the rest. And so there's a way that I get simpler even, while I also get better at capturing the more clear composition. But that is a way of being clear. Clarity isn't necessarily that there's a whole lot of detail in a hand or face so you can really see every detail. You can really see even the person's expression. These things are not, that's not what clarity means. It doesn't mean when there's a figure there, you can see their face really well. You can see the expression on their face. That is a stylistic choice. That is the storyteller's voice. Whether they want you to see the expression on the face or not. If you think of an author writing, they may highlight other things that they're communicating to get across the emotion, to get across the meaning and the story. They may tell you other details than bothering to tell you someone's facial expression. So that's not what clarity means. It doesn't mean everything's visible, right? But what you're trying to say is accentuated, is made clear, that you're drawing forth the things that you want to be clear, and making them the point, and that you have that expertise, that you know how to make one thing the point, the important thing, and not another. Everything is not of equal importance. That you've chosen, right? And in the composition, obviously in the drawing style and things that applies, but we're talking about composition here. So I focus a lot on composition. If you have a strong composition, people can read your panel, your page from a distance, and that's why people do small thumbnails too. From a small thumbnail, it's very clear what's happening. With the basic shapes are communicating it. It makes reading smooth. It makes it enjoyable, like when it requires less effort to get through a panel, to get through a page. It makes the story more immersive when it takes less effort. It affects the perception of time also in your story, that if you have a really easy to read image, even no matter how large it is on the page, right? So this goes against some other opinions we've talked about before. There are opinions that the larger the panel, the more time it represents. I think that is a shorthand rule of thumb that is missing the truth, right? Like there are pages that I've seen, right, that double page spreads even, that are so busy, and that it's almost like a collage. It's like wallpaper, and you have to look through that whole image to find the main figure, to find what's happening, and there is nothing that's given prominence over anything else. So you just have to go through it all. I mean, there's some cool pages in Jeff Darrow's Shaolin Cowboy that's a good example of this. This effect when nothing's given that prominence, so it's like this collage and it just takes a long time to read. Well, that's a 2-page spread, but then there's 2-page spreads that have just one figure flying off a cliff in a simple background, a simple shapes, clear composition. I read that in a second, like done, right? It doesn't. So that rule of thumb is not. I don't buy it. It's one of those simple rules you teach that can help people that don't understand. But once you have understanding, you understand why that rule exists and how it doesn't really encompass the reality. So, even a large panel, if it has a real clear composition with something given prominence, the shape of it, all those things will affect the amount of time that one experiences as a reader. So yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the rules. Learn rules, go ahead. because they're training wheels. Like get some help to understand other people's perspectives and like improve your ability to compose these pages and images. But and this goes back to the encouragement, right? Don't let that stop you. Don't let that make you think that you have nothing to contribute, that you are just a fool, just making a mess on the page. Because, sure, we are fools making messes on the page to the expert eye. Even I am. And so that's not going to stop us. Like, don't let it stop you, because if you decide that your perspective is worthless and you ignore the power you have to communicate through these pages and instead just follow rules, you're never going to develop into the creator that you can become. You've got to let go of that too. So there's the finished page. That's it for this week. Well, I feel weird about this one. This has been an interesting rant that I've made, really. But yeah, that's it. I'm at VisionCon today, the day this comes out, this weekend, and I'm gonna have fun at that one, doing some life drawing like class that I'm gonna run, and other panels, and just presenting with Clever Kaiju. Yeah, be the practice of your art. Encourage others to do the same, and I'll see you next week.